My name is Michael, and this is my story. I grew up in a Christian suburban home. I went to a Christian school from preschool to 7th grade, so I knew nothing else other than Christianity. Since I was a Christian from a very young age, I never really understood it for myself. In school, I would have to memorize my Bible verses and take quizzes, so my religion was more of a chore. It was something I had to do. I never actually felt God around me. This lack of relationship really affected my social life. Starting in grade school, I was bullied a lot by my family and my peers. Every time I came home, I would have to listen to my little brother call me fatty every day. I remember how upset I used to get because my parents would say that it is just a normal relationship, but it wasn't. It used to break me down from the inside, and my insecurities just got worse and worse. I also had a very high-pitched voice, and I was picked on a lot for having it. I was always too scared to talk in front of my class because I thought they would laugh at me. And when the teacher did ask me, I was so scared. They always used to mock my voice and ask me if I could speak in a deeper tone, but I couldn't. It was the voice God gave me, and I was unable to change it. Since I was young, I didn't come to God for my answers. I just kept all my emotions bottled up on the inside. Growing up, I was always taught to be tough, and my dad used to be very rough on me. I remember crying so much as a child, and it just got on my dad's nerves. My dad was the typical tough Christian dad. He had a very religious background, and there was a specific way he wanted to raise us. Me and my brother were supposed to be perfect gentlemen, and we were to never show signs of weakness. He wanted me and my brother to play sports and to be athletes, but that's just not who we were. My dad forced me to play football for the summer, and I used to cry every single practice because I didn't want to do it. He expected it to change me, but it really didn't. He, to this day, has pictures of me smiling during football in my uniform and helmet, but nobody knows how dark it was for me. With all my insecurities about my voice and my weight, made it such a nightmare for me. As I grew up, I grew farther and farther away from God. My parents got divorced when I was in 7th grade. My dad moved out of my mom's house, and that meant that they couldn't pay for my private Christian school, so I had to transfer to a public school. I hated having to leave my friends. I've known them since I was 6 years old, and I've grown comfortable around them. I wasn't self-conscious around them, so to go to a new school with new kids was scary. As much as I didn't want to transfer, it was out of my control. My parents were separated, and there wasn't enough money. The first day of the new school year was fine. None of the kids really messed with me. I was just non-existent. Through the year, I dealt with kids making fun of me. And there was this one guy who just called me ugly straight to my face. I took it so hard, and I really questioned everything about myself. I began high school very insecure and very far away from God. I would call myself a Christian, but I never actually had a relationship with God. My bullying continued in high school, with students picking on me about the way I walk, talk, and my weight. I didn't have many friends, so I just kept it to myself, and I covered it up with a smile on my face. Everyone knew me as the kid who smiled all the time, but nobody knew that behind that smile was so much pain and hurt. I had people bully me in the locker room. There was always this one guy who would target me every time, and he would not stop. He used to say that I stink, and he used to hit every insecurity that I had. I remembered running home crying because I was too embarrassed to look at anyone. From then on, I didn't see people as nice anymore. I saw people as enemies. The worst part was that I never looked to God for my answers. I felt alone. I felt like there was no one on this earth who had my back. At this point, I really established a fear of people. The only safe haven I had was my band class. I had friends and confidence, but every time I stepped out of the room, I closed back up. From others' perspectives, it didn't look like I had such a problem, but that's because I never told anyone, not even my parents. It was the end of my senior year, and I was ready to leave. I was sad not to be going to school with my friends anymore, but I wanted to move on. I wanted to let go of all of my bad memories in high school. I graduated, and I didn't know where I was going to go for college. I never had the typical dream college, and college search never went well. I was looking at Indiana State, SIUE, Eastern Illinois, even Hampton in Virginia, but none of them gave me the response like Bradley. I applied for Bradley, and they responded super fast. They gave me a scholarship, and I knew at that point I wanted to go to Bradley. My parents would show me other colleges, but I wanted to go to Bradley. I was so excited not just to go to Bradley, but I was excited so I would have a new beginning. I was excited to start the next phase of my life. I had quite a rocky start at Bradley. I made no friends during orientation, so I began the school year very lonely. All I did was sit in my room and binge watch The Office. I even spent my birthday in my room for the whole day because it was too early in the year for my family to come. But one day, I was just sitting in my room, and Lindsay and Marshall, two people in crew, approached my door. I was so shocked because I had never seen these people before in my life, and they just plain walked into my room like they know who I was. They asked me about where I was in my religion, and I told them my relationship with God was very private. But now that I look back, I had no relationship with him at all. They told me about Life Group, where a group of students had fun discussing the Bible. And it sounded interesting. It was Monday, the day of Life Group, and Marshall came to my door and asked me if I'm coming to Life Group today. And I told him, I don't think so. And he left. But I waited in my room for like 10 seconds, and I opened my door hoping he was still in the hallway, and he was. I asked what time Life Group was, and I told him I'm coming. I met everyone on Geyser's Hall patio, and we walked up to one of Geyser's Hall's lounge, and we had Life Group. I met everyone, and I felt very comfortable. The first Life Group was the start of many crew events. I made so many friends, and I never imagined that these people would come into my life. And I realized that it was all God's work. He knew of my past experiences, and he did all of this on purpose. He never left my side through all of the bullying. I recently went on a trip called Big Break in Panama City Beach, Florida, and it was the greatest experience of my life. I've never been so close to God in my life, and it was the most refreshing feeling ever. I bonded with so many people experiencing the same kind of joy, and it was just beautiful. One day in particular, I just broke down because all of the hurt and pain I felt was being washed away by God's love. I realized that God was always there, and he never actually left me. He blessed me with amazing people, and he became my outlet for all of my troubles. I forgive everyone that bullied me because it's what God wanted me to do. Those experiences shaped me into who I am today, and it's all because of God's grace, and I am forever grateful.